Hey y'all, my name is Joelle and I'm here on YouTube as Coastal Baseline. And what I have here for you all today is actually what we're going to be making in this video. They are coconut oil, coconut flour cookies, and I'm actually going to bring these cookies up to you so you can see the texture because the texture is great. This is the back. It has a beautiful color as well. This is the original 4-ingredient version of the recipe, and then this is the variation that I made in the video that you're about to watch. This one has craisins in it, and of course you have creative freedom to mix in whatever you want, like nuts, chocolate chips, and so on. I really am excited to share this with you guys. It's such a wonderful treat and it's a really healthy treat too. If you want to know what you need to do to get these cookies, then keep watching because you're in the right spot. Okay guys, let's get started. We're gonna start by measuring out the ingredients. So you need a half a cup of coconut flour, a quarter cup of coconut oil, and a quarter cup of honey. So here I'm going to just show you guys the measurements I'm using and the brands that I'm using. Scoop out the coconut oil. The great thing about this recipe is that it's dairy-free, it is gluten-free, and it is nut butter-free. And it's also paleo-friendly. So with these simple 4 ingredients, it's paleo-friendly. And you'll see at the end that I have a variation where I mix in dried fruit. And as long as you have your own dried fruit that doesn't have added sugar, then of course it'll stay paleo friendly as well. Awesome, so now that we have our first 3 ingredients measured out and put into our mixing bowl, we're now going to separate the eggs. The reason I am separating the eggs here instead of just adding all 3 eggs directly to the mixing bowl is because in this recipe I am not using baking soda and I'm not using baking powder either. When I was looking at different ways to use coconut flour, this is a bit of a backstory. I was looking at different ways to use coconut flour and I came across various coconut flour cookie recipes. I saw that most of them required either baking powder or baking soda, and I didn't want to use either. I didn't want to open up a new box of baking soda just for a small batch of cookies, and I also don't really use baking powder right now at least at this point in my life. Even when I make pound cake, I make it without baking powder. So when I looked up alternatives to recipes without either of those 2 ingredients, I saw that fluffing the eggs, which is actually a technique I do use in my pound cake, fluffing up the eggs can actually still give your cookies some bounce and some chew and some bite. So I decided to do that, and that is why I separated the eggs. So you can see that I mixed in the egg yolks, and now I have the egg whites, and I'm going to beat those with a fork. You can of course use a whisk, and you can use your electric whisk as well, and that'd probably be faster, but a fork does just fine. Perfect. So now the egg whites have been whisked and they're fluffed up. So we're gonna add that to the other ingredients in the mixing bowl. And at this point, this is actually a really great place to stop if you are not mixing in anything else. But today I am actually going to mix in some craisins. So I'm separating my mix into 2 bowls. One I will keep as the simple 4 ingredient version of this recipe, and then the other bowl I will add in my craisins. Now this again is where you can keep things paleo friendly. I am using Craisins, the brand Craisins, which is not paleo friendly because it does have added sugar, but you can really add any dried fruit here and keep things creative. You can also keep things really creative with this recipe with your mix-ins here. So you could do chips of dark chocolate, you can do some caramel, you can add in nuts even if you want to. It's really cool. You can add in even mint chocolate chips, which would be really cool. So you really do have a lot of options. This recipe is very simple, which means that there is a lot of room for creativity. Okay, so what I'm doing here is wrapping the cookie dough, which is very soft right now given the ingredients that we used. I'm wrapping it in cling wrap, and I'm gonna put this in the freezer so that they can toughen up a little bit. This is completely optional. You can do them as drop cookies, but I like to put them in the freezer so that I can actually cut them. So here we are after the cookies have been in the freezer for about 30 minutes. Once I took them out of the freezer, I cut each of the logs into 6 so that we could have a dozen cookies. And then I put them onto a parchment paper lined baking sheet and flatten them a bit. Now what we're gonna do is put the cookies in the oven at 375 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes. And just like that, our cookies are done. The next step is to take them out of the oven, let them cool on the pan for a bit, and then move them to a cooling rack until they cool down to room temperature. Or you can eat them warm, you know, your choice really. But they're really, really delicious at room temperature. So here I am just moving the cookies over to the cooling rack so that I can eat them soon. I really hope you guys enjoyed this recipe video, and I do hope that you try this at home. Let me know your thoughts if you do. Thanks for watching! If you like this video, let me know by giving it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel so you can stay in the loop with what I post next.